I know how difficult life is when your kid gets to attend with WJ, which is maybe the best high school in the United States. You know, when the parents came to talk to me about WJ, they said the last thing in the world we would want would be for our kids to join the Down County Consortium, which, you know, my son just entered. So, I mean, it's sort of your perspective on things.
Well, it's me and my children.
Right, you know, so I mean, your perspective on things is sort of, you know, I mean, I have a county-wide perspective, and I represent all of these people, and, you know, the reality is that sometimes we do need to look at boundary changes, and they're difficult and they're painful, just like sometimes we have to raise our hand and vote for master plans that recognize that the population of Montgomery County 10, 20, and 30 years from now will be larger than it is today. And if we're going to protect the ag reserve, and if we don't want people traveling in from Frederick and Hagerstown and Pennsylvania to get to work here at NIH, et cetera, we are going to have to densify in the urban core and at metro stations. So we're trying to balance all these things. I mean, you know, there's this idea that we're somehow allowing these children to be born and to move into Montgomery County, and the alternative is if we don't allow them to move into Montgomery County, they'll still be born and their parents will still need to work, but they'll move even further and further and further away, creating a development pattern that we don't want and that won't benefit any of us, and that we won't be able to afford with the price of oil, plus the price of housing. If we don't build more housing in Montgomery County, what's that going to do to the price of existing housing stuff? So we're weighing all of these issues. And we do need a wasteland sector plan.
Yeah.
We'll have one.
Yeah.
And the council will be chock full of master plans this fall, and growth policy and capital budgets. It's all going to come together. Going back to the enrollment issue, I wanted to ask what kind of trends the school system is seeing in special ed enrollment.
It's staying fairly stable. And it isn't growing at the rate that it's growing about the same rate. It's not growing greater than the rate. So it's staying pretty stable, staying in that 12% area. And I'm very pleased with some of the movements the system has been making academically towards bringing all of the special populations up to college ready. And I think there's certainly more room to do that. And but I really am pleased with things like suspension rates going down. We've kind of cut those in half. Not only for all the special population, but the minority groups. And we've done that in the last couple of years. That means we're holding more kids in school. I think we were about 5th or 6th in graduation rates. We're now tied for #1 in America in graduation rates. We'll be putting out our advanced placement results, and the state will be putting out theirs. And there's no doubt if our results are what I think they're going to be, the state's going to again be #1 in the country. There was a report out yesterday about 200,000 students that were studied nationwide. That's the way to go. Not SAT, not ACT, but advanced placement. That correlates into college graduation at a much higher rate than those two. They're more predictive of the first year of school, not the overall graduation. So we're working in all these areas and with all special populations, ESOL, poor, special education, gifted and talented, to try to provide them the differentiated type of instruction that has high expectations and will produce a child that is, when they graduate, high skilled, ready to go on to that next level. And our biggest problem is giving support to our classroom teachers at a scalable level that will help them cut down on the variability between programs or between schools or between areas. And we're really trying to figure that out at a time we don't have any money, because we have been doing that with human beings. And as we have moved from our 7 keys of being able to have some predictability along the value chain, we have found that we've got some issues with regard to content information. A lot of our teachers don't have maybe 4 to 6 hours teaching math. And that works for special populations or anything. And what we're trying to do is to try to shore that up. You just can't send people back to school. I mean, it's too expensive, it takes too much time. So it's a matter of how do we go to scale with quality across the system to do that. And we're working with some partners, public and private, to try to figure out electronically how you go about doing that. The state of Maryland, I think, will be joining us in that endeavor. And we'll be looking at trying to figure out how to go race for the top. And we certainly will expect and know you will give support for that, because and we will have to join with the state of Maryland, and that's the way the rules are, and probably help a couple other jurisdictions in our state, and join with some other partners to go after that.
Quick follow-up on that, and I'll turn to Valerie. How is the money that, additional money for special ed that came from the stimulus being spent?
It's good for this year. We, again, our staff and our parents really like the hours-based approach. And so we put on, what, 12, 13 more hours-based approach, 15 more hours-based approach buildings. That isn't one-time expenditure. That's real help to real children who are there and really need it. That's good for this year, and it's good for next year. Then we're gonna have to figure our way out to deal with that. But it's what the kids deserved, and I've heard nothing but good about that hours-based approach. It's a better staffing, it is a better student-teacher ratio, more time, and with higher expectations. I don't know. We'll see how the stimulus goes a couple of years from now. But I'm proud of the board for doing the right thing in the interim. Did the same thing with early childhood and adding on early childhood. We added on more full-time early childhood. And that's a huge help to little kids. Just a huge help. Valerie?
Just quickly, I have a meeting with you, I think, on Thursday with the state's attorney to talk to you about truancy. And we have the OLO, the Office of Legislative Oversight, is going to be doing a study on the issue of truancy and the system. And the first cut that I've seen in terms of the information that they've been able to call is that on any given day in this county, there is as high as 5% of the student population is chronic and truant. Want to know what your response to that is and how
well,
you might...
Well, I think, one, I commend you, just like we did the Kennedy Project. You and Councilmember Navarro found a lot of ways that we can work in an intergovernmental protocol. Because there wasn't much way of sharing information across the government groups. And we want those kids in school. And we're going to work with you, and I'm glad to see John McCarthy. And I'm glad, once again, thank you for convening to help us find ways to get our kids in school. Yes, it's 95% are there, but the 5% that aren't there need it, really need it. And if they're not there, where are they? And what are they doing? And how productive is that? And how will that work for our community? And so I'm looking forward to our meeting. I was pleased that you convened it, and maybe we'll find new ways to address that issue. Appreciate it.
Working with Latino youth, two members of the council, I think, George, Nancy, and a couple of the board members represented went to the meeting as well. It might be useful to just hear a little bit about what other initiatives council members and board members are involved in that would be good for the rest of us to be aware of.
Well, I'd be happy to talk about the Latino Youth Task Force, maybe Councilmember Navarro or Shirley or Laura, we were all there. This was convened after many of us saw the presentation that Identity Inc. had put together, which had very worrisome indicators about Latino youth dropout rates, Latino youth teen pregnancy rates, alienation and lack of support, and survey responses that said that an astounding number of Latino